we've had some people like Bobby Singh getting in trouble. Bobby Singh has gotten in trouble because it found out that on one of his lives, he joked and had a poll about would you rather shit or piss on Henry Nowak's grave. Bobby Singh is one of the Tommy Tard Singh people that go around, one of the token Browns that go to the UTK marches, and has been promoted by Tommy before. I keep saying this, they keep using these people as tokens, and these people, although pretending to be our friends, still hate us. In fact, he quite openly admitted that he took the side of Vikram Digwa because he's a Sikh brother. I don't know how many times we have to try and specify that these people will always work in tandem against the British majority, against the native British people, because they are always going to be other. They realize it, their group realizes it, everybody realizes it but us. And that's why we have to get it drilled into our heads. They hate you as well. They will always take their own side. They will always take their people's side. And until you realize that, you are forever playing a game where they will backstab you at the first instant. I'll explain why really quickly they view us differently. There's a very clear reason for this. They view us differently because they are part of their own tribe. They call themselves brothers in arms, but they call us a part of their friend group. There's a big, clear difference between friends and family. They view themselves as family and they view us as friends. And I will give you an example of this. Look what happened in the BLM riots. All these people that you deem to be your black friends or your ethnic friends, it was the Muslims, it was the blacks, it was the Asians, it was everybody that was non-white that turned against us the second that one of the marginalized minority communities was seen to be attacked and oppressed by the system. That is just something that continuously happened because every single minority group will always side together against us because they view themselves as more aligned than ourselves. You can tell me that's wrong all you like, but that happens every single time. Another very key example, there's been many different cases where the Jewish and the Muslim community have said that they are together in arms and that, in fact, it is a tribe against the both of them, which you would find to be quite weird, but I'll explain why. The Jewish communities and the Muslim communities in the Western white world both are minorities and they see themselves as fighting against oppression. We are supposedly the oppressors as the white people, but I'm going to give you a very brief understanding of why we are seen as the oppressors. It's a white country. It was a white country created by white people for white people. It's not that these people are being oppressed, it's that they don't belong here. So they will continuously work against the system because they don't belong here. They are never supposed to be here. They were never intended to be here. In fact, if you look at the way in which our societies were created, there was no need for any DEI law or Equalities Act because there was no need to say that two groups were equal because there was only ever one group. In trying to deny that and trying to reshape that has led to the situations we have now where these minority groups will always work together against our interest. And people can say that's wrong. People can say that's bigoted and that's racist. That's logical. That's always been logical. Why do you think they enclave one another? Why do you think we had reports of women in Tower Hamlets and Whitechapel saying that they were being hurled abused by Islamic men saying they need to cover up in the streets? Because they view it as their neighborhood, and if you're not part of their gang, you're not allowed there. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way that it will always be, and that's why you cannot even pretend like these people are our friends. I've heard so many reports where people have said that the Sikh community are our friends and they're working in our interest. Bollocks. This situation has proved damn well they are not working in our interest. They are working in their own interest. They have quite literally come out, the World Sikh Organization, people like Bobby Singh, they have come out showing that their support is not for the victim of a crime who was killed for the simple reason that he's white, but instead it's for their own brothers in arms because they see themselves as a family. It will always be that way. You cannot remove the natural tribalism of human beings. It's always been that way, And it will always be that way. And that's the danger of allowing big ethnic groups to enclave themselves and hold some form of power in your homeland, because all you're doing is creating rival factions at your own front door. But I will say it is quite amusing watching the Tommy Tards freak out at the Sikhs, and even Tommy turning on the Sikhs now, trying to save face with these things, because that was always inevitable. There was an inevitability that a situation like this was going to happen, and Tommy and his crew would be confronted with the harsh reality of what these foreign groups are like. They are not our friends. They have never been our friends. They will never be our friends. They will always be foreign. And until they're back in their own homeland, until they have their own ancestral ties back to their own land with their own people, there will always be these conflicts, and you will always see this divide. I mean, a very good example is the fact of jury duty. These people that are in a jury, if the defendant is white, they are more than likely, if the jury is foreign, they are more than likely to be found guilty. In fact, the chance that the jury will find you guilty is about 5 times higher than if the jury is against a brown person and the jury is all foreign as well. They will say that 73% of the time they will find that defendant not guilty, whereas only 12% of the time they will find the white defendant not guilty. That's a real stat. Look at, for example, the case of the 2 brothers with the Manchester airport. They found the older brother not guilty of assault against a police officer, and the jury was foreign. He quite clearly attacked the police officer, but the way our law works is that there is a grey area when it's assault against an officer. If you deem their actions against somebody as over the top and extreme, you can technically get away with assault if it's there to try and protect the person that the police officer is attacking. That's a grey area in our law. And because the brother was brown and the jury was foreign, they found this guy not guilty, when it's clear as day this man is guilty. Well, how can you have a system of justice when it's being deemed by the way in which somebody was born, by somebody's ethnic group or racial group? That's just racial bias. That's in-group preference. And it's always going to be that way. So maybe now, some of the Tommy Tards will move away from this idea of these people are all the same as us and we can work civically together. And this is going to link back into people like Ben Habib later on when we talk about Advanced UK. And instead, they'll move to the understanding that these people are foreign, they will always be foreign, and they'll never be part of our tribe.